Why do you suppose the town of Western never sees the kinds of concerted efforts on the part of the public here to change the direction of Western from town board-centric dictated futures to the futures of the taxpayer here? The people have tried, and at every step of the way for the last 3 years, the town board and its ancillary boards put barriers in the way. Barriers preventing the people from doing what's right for themselves, what's best for their families, and what's best for the community at large. Who says that requiring what's best for the people is wrong? That's the way it should be, and that's the way it should have been here for the last 50 years. The reason is that in Western, the town board knows that keeping the people uninformed and in the dark, whether it be via the failed Republican Party, the failed town board meetings, the failure of town FOIL records or data, or the consistent failures year after year for the last 3 years that we have been watching with you, of those that should be representing us, but are not. That removal of our rights as Americans or as members of the community of Western and the force-feeding of what a town board says they want for you is not your future. It's theirs. That is the only way for those who dictate our futures to secure their future reign, all while the taxpayer's future here in Western dwindles day after day, week after week, and year after year. From increasing taxes while neighboring communities like the town of Lee, with smart management of their town, have had a zero property tax on their public taxpayers for years there, and Western keeps increasing theirs for what? Good question. It's hard to get any answers from this town board, a board that does not allow public comment or questions from the public at town meetings, unlike all other towns in Oneida County. And for what gain? Only for the gain of those that sit at the head of the table in heavily censored town board meetings. Whatever the end game is for these players of the people in Western, it is not in the public's best interest. We have seen it time and time again over the last 3 years here, and so have you, via live-streamed meetings brought to you by the people because the town knows it's not in their best interests to record these meetings. Seeing this town board voting continually to accept cash upfront tax dollars in exchange for the locking out of agricultural land to be converted to solar for the next 50 years. In that process, basically telling the local farmers, the agricultural staple of Western, to take a hike, find somewhere else to farm. But this is not the future. This is today. This is tyranny at its very roots. These boards here in Western that push for their concerns at a cost to the public are afraid of the power of the public's knowledge and the public's participation in the town board's so-called personal business of the town of Western. The board's erroneously perceived private business. That is why the town board took away public comment from public meetings in November of 2023. So the public cannot participate collectively, while being prevented from enacting positive change for the future here. Change in their own best interests, in front of their friends and neighbors, and all for the protection of the art of control by this town board. Western, fight for change here. Fight for integrity and fairness across the board, for everyone. Your vote does matter. Vote for change, starting with changing the roles of the non-leader types here. Those that consistently fail to inform, fail to represent, and fail to support community structure and cohesiveness, at the very cost to your futures and your silenced voice in Western. Turn your votes in the future into active and participatory representatives of the real public, the taxpayer in Western. Vote for change on these boards that are propped up and endorsed by a failed Republican Party here. Endorsement not based on valid functional requirements, but on political power and misrepresented control, all done without considering what's best for the community, and depending on an uneducated vote to simply maintain future control in support of the status quo. In short, in support of your very own, self-approved personal or political silence. Town of Western Civic Affairs. This is your community. It's your future.
Brought to you by TWCA Productions and by Town of Western Civic Affairs. Your community, your future.